The Indus River Valley, made fertile by silt deposits from the river and biannual flooding, was the ideal location for South Asia's first great civilization. This Indus Valley civilization flourished under an agricultural economy and advanced technology for the time. The Indus Valley civilization may have existed as early as 3300 BCE and was a very strong civilization until its apparent abandonment around 1900 BCE. The early Indus Valley civilization consisted of small farming villages that grew into larger cities as time went on. Eventually, the great walled cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro were established. Technology, trade, and sophistication of society continued to grow in cities such as these until the Indus Valley civilization reached its peak around 2400 BCE. After this, the civilization declined until it was finally abandoned circa 1900 BCE. There is much speculation among archaeologists and historians alike about the cause of the abandonment, but the two most likely accepted theories are either that Aryan invaders from the north destroyed the civilization, or environmental changes such as new monsoon patterns inhibited agriculture, forcing the Indus Valley people to move on.
Very little is known about the Indus River Valley civilization, and its language has not even been deciphered yet. Due to this unfortunate lack of information, it is unknown whether the Indus River Valley civilization had any important historical figures. Technically, there was not even a defined ruler. The political leaders and the priests held most of the power, so they were considered to be the rulers. Since the Indus River Valley was not involved with any wars that we know of, there were no strong military leaders. There are no known significant leaders for this civilization. The Indus River Valley did not experience many major events either. Since the civilization was so isolated, there was not much of a threat from any other settlements, and vice versa. The only major accomplishments were the invention of the measurement system and the sanitation system, which were very sophisticated for the time.
The society in the Indus River Valley civilization produced major urban centers, two being Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro. These two great cities were huge, able to house at least 35,000 people. There were more than 1,000 other smaller cities. Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa were thought to be the capitals of the civilization, based on size and prosperity. High walls surrounded them, and the streets were neatly organized into a rectangular grid. Sanitation was very important in the city, so drain pipes located underground carried away waste. There were well-ventilated structures for storehouses of grain, for export and food, and barracks that indicated presence of artisans. Public baths and great halls were found in both cities, but no palaces or temples were found. Little is known about the politics in the area, but the major urban centers and smaller settlements exhibit a uniformity of styles that indicate a strong central control. There is one political head, a king of sorts, and the priests were closely linked to him. The leaders were chosen by inheritance, but no significant rulers are known. This could be called an autocratic monarchy. Nothing found in these cities indicate the presence of a military, but they were heavily guarded cities with huge brick walls and guard towers surrounding them.
Since the Indus River Valley civilization was one of the earliest civilizations, its economy differed greatly with those of later civilizations. The economy of Indus River Valley was very simplistic, meaning that they only farmed and traded. People were just beginning to trade, and the trade process was evolving of that of Egypt and Mesopotamia. The people of Indus River Valley were in luck because they had obtained many well-grouped contacts for widespread trade. They had the easiest access to valuable stones, building stone, timber, and metals. In addition, they already had crops to sustain themselves and even trade as well. They had these trade connections as far as East Iran. There has been evidence of some of the seal stones from Indus River Valley found and abandoned in the Tigris River. The evidence led to the conclusion that Indus Valley civilization obtained merchants that served as middlemen in long-distance trade. These middlemen managed to get their hands on raw materials from the northwest and ship them to the Persian Gulf.
Little is known about the religion of the Indus Valley civilization. Most of what would tell historians about their religion is locked away in the indecipherable texts of early Indus Valley, and what little information historians are able to uncover is hardly informative. However, many historians speculate that the people of the Indus Valley were polytheistic, worshipping a mother goddess, and painting stones with sacred animals. Priests also had a very high role in society, so if nothing else, the existence of religion is apparent.
The people of the civilization were quite advanced for their age, having created a pictograph language to record with and an irrigation system. Pictures of animals and elaborate design showed that animals may have been worshipped. There was a caste system as well, with rulers and priests at the top, soldiers and merchants next, farmers and artisans, then at the bottom, servants and laborers. Most of the professions had to do with trading or being an artisan. Burials were quite simple, quite unlike other civilizations, and few goods were packed into the coffins. Later, the dead were cremated.
The Indus Valley civilization had very advanced technology for its day and age. The civilization was best known for its extraordinary use of the irrigation systems for their crops and the sanitation systems in the cities. The irrigation greatly improved their agriculture, and the sanitation system brought cleaner conditions and ultimately more population capacity to cities such as Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. In addition to this, the people of the Indus Valley were also very skilled in pottery making, aided by their development of the potter's wheel. They built great mud brick walls to surround and protect their cities from invaders. They reinforced these mud bricks by firing them in kilns to strengthen them.
The Indus Valley civilization flourished from 3000 to 1900 BCE. It was recognized for its enormous walled cities that aided the development of a culture unique to the Indus Valley. Much information about the beautiful culture of these people remains undiscovered because their language has not been decoded yet. However, they did leave a few artifacts behind that had led many scientists and agriculturists to make assumptions about their culture. For example, high temple ruins where priests reseated, bathing tanks, and elaborately painted stones still remain of this ancient civilization. The Indus River Valley consists of a vast amount of land that spreads over 1 million acres, consisting of mountains, lakes, rivers, forests, and deserts. It was a truly diverse landscape. It covered the highlands of Pakistan and bordered the Himalayan mountains to the north and the Thar Desert to the east. The core of this civilization was situated in a low-lying plain area, which gave its inhabitants an abundant supply of water and provided flood twice a year. These floods made it possible for the Indus Valley people to have 2 harvests a year and therefore double their food supply. It was also situated not too far from the Middle East, which made long-distance trade possible.
This stone artifact from the Indus Valley city of Mohenjo-daro dates back to between 2600 and 1900 BCE. This is one of the few surviving and most intact examples of Indus Valley culture, and is thought to represent some sort of authoritative figure. The priest king, as he is often referred to as, could possibly represent a leader with not only secular power, but with religious power as well. Perhaps his identity will become more apparent once the Indus Valley language is decoded. The Indus Valley civilization was one of the first civilizations to develop high levels of political centralization, urbanization, and technology. However, because of the lack of readable texts, we can say very little about the civilization other than that it was strikingly uniform and advanced. This civilization set a precedent for many others to come.